I'm gonna do one of Laura's bullshit intros.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, do it. Go for it.
Daniel.
Nice.
Thank you. We're very lucky to have this guest here today. He is a men's rights activist, a guns rights activist, and fresh from his jury trial for his participation in January 6th insurrection, acquitted on all charges.
Acquitted.
Andy Kindler.
Wow. You know, when I spoke to Laura, we were going to keep all of that on the DL.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, sure. I'm a member of right wing Jews for right wings.
I forgot to say born again Christian.
Born again, right?
Well, that's the thing. I used to be able to be so much fun being Jewish.
Yeah.
Because I was a member, I was born in 56, so right after Hitler. And I thought I dodged a bullet, and I loved the whole thing of that my people had been persecuted. And now, with the right, I never liked the right wing Israelis. Like Netanyahu's worse than Trump.
Yeah.
So now it's no fun. No one's going to believe me when I'm trying to relate to because they're going to go, "Oh, you like Netanyahu." But that would be. Here's the thing that's terrible about the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's so much anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like two things are happening at once. It's like there's so much anti-Semitism. So you want to get into that side of it, not you two specifically.
Yeah. But that is happening at the same time that everybody has a fucking microphone. The proliferation of the anti-Semitism or any of the hate going around,
and also the separation between right wing Zionists and things like that and Judaism itself. Is a huge problem.
Well, and people are dumb. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because they'll just equate those two to being the same, and not really knowing the history of Judaism. And it's like, well, Hamas was funded to take out the PLO in the 80s all that stuff.
Give me the controversial days when it was all about Madonna being into Kabbalah. Can we go back to that?
Yes, those were the days.
A red bracelet on her wrist?
Wait, what was she? She was into Kabbalah, though, right?
There was a moment, in the 90s.
It's our proudest moment. Kabbalah for the Jews.
Kabbalah.
We always go, hey, you want some mysticism?
Yeah.
Check out the Kabbalah, my friend.
Well, regardless of international disasters, you still shine as a comedian.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. But you've been working for, I think, 40. I open for Margaret Cho right now, and she celebrates, now it's her 41st year in stand-up, which is a huge number. And especially, I think most people's question is why do you keep doing it? But stand-up is my favorite thing. I love live performance. You started as a live act.
You sound like I was in a chicken cage or something.
No, but as a musician, because that was my favorite thing about playing music was live performance.
All right, so here's the thing. Since I'm from several generations before you.
He's so nice.
So I grew up in Queens, and then I went to school upstate New York, and I was I wanted to be, I was really influenced by the Beatles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought I was going to do.
Uh-huh.
And when I went up to upstate New York, SUNY Binghamton, I did a lot of theater. There was great theater there, and there was all this great department there. But to be a theater major, you had to do the Lesac method. Arthur Lesac was his famous voice coach.
Okay.
And so if I wanted to be a theater major, I had to have 9 of these classes where I go,
oh yeah.
So I didn't major. So I didn't major in that, and then I was determined to be working. The same year the Talking Heads came out, I left college, and I was not at their level.
Yeah.
77?
Yeah, 78, I graduated from college, and I moved to LA because a director, my friend Chris, who was a director at a college, he said, let's go to LA. And I must have, in some innate way, known I had to get away, from my parents, and from, not specifically from my parents, but just the safety of being on the East Coast and living in Queens, which isn't even really Manhattan.
But it was being so close to Manhattan, was that even an option for pursuing comedy at that time, or was LA just also I got to get out?
If I had stayed for whatever reason in New York, I would have, but I would have probably done the same road. But the thing was that I was very much. We have a dog here, so if you hear a yip, it's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But I had played classical violin as a kid. I played for many years even, and I hated it to death.
But you got so much pussy by playing it, though.
I mean, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was you and Yasha, like,
Hot
knocking
and
it
cold
out.
running lady. I used to go, who was my wingman? Who's the guy who was in the wheelchair? What's his name?
Yasha Heifetz.
No, it's Scott Perlman, maybe?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was your
He
wingman?
was my wingman. It's always, you're not going to say anything that can get a laugh. You go, who's the guy in the wheelchair? So I hated violin, and then I got into I love the Grateful Dead. So I was in this band in college. We were like a popular local band, right? So then I moved out to LA. I didn't know that I was having all these emotional problems, which I've now solved.
Like what?
Okay, so I realized this is also from years in therapy, so it's not like I just realized this yesterday.
No, we have that effect on people.
Well, the thing is that my sister had the most beautiful singing voice. She's passed away a couple of years ago.
What was your sister's name?
Janet Kindler.
Janet Kindler.
And she had an amazing singing voice. But there's something, it's not like our parents said, you know what, we're going to discourage you individually. But we all felt like we were defective and couldn't do things. So my sister didn't even feel good about her voice. And I, who loved Bob Dylan and all these other people, but then I didn't feel like I could sing. And it was like this whole thing where I was tied into singing or music as a self-esteem issue.
Sure.
And I didn't realize at the time, because I was in my early 20s, I didn't realize that was what was wrong. It's like I just came to the conclusion just last week in therapy that singing is its own reward.
So, like, therapy, I used to play music every day. I had pianos and I would play for like 2 hours at least every day. And you couldn't like mess with me. I was the different kind of confident person because there's something therapeutic about that exercise, right? Not the ego of being like in front of people or just actually going through the moment. And that, like, I don't know if you're speaking like physically singing is its own reward, but you're singing for yourself is like.
I'm saying it's a spiritual. I've become more spiritual in the last few years. I do believe in God, and but I believe in God. I don't believe in the. It's amazing to me that you even have to go through this. That there are these people like Ricky Gervais. Oh, you believe in a train, magic train?
Which also, like him and Bill Maher, it's like shut the fuck up.
Just shut
let
the fuck
people
up.
have their thing.
Who gives a
Let
fuck?
people. So,
Yeah.
but the point is, the way I've become spiritual, and the way I've become even younger is that I do believe comedy and music comes from.
And they're the same thing. There's no division in that with me, at least. I feel like it's the same river.
Yeah, and when you're in that river, so many similarities. But when you're in that river, it's coming from whatever you want to call it, higher power, whatever you want to call it. But when it's just me thinking I'm going to write a great song or I'm going to do a good joke,
it's over.
Forget it.
It's over. I have been such a narcissist in the moment being like, because it's two things. You can be like, where is this coming from, right? If you're just playing, right? And especially if you're not reading music. But then the minute you start thinking that, same on stage, when you're like, wow, I am really killing, it's the minute you drop the ball. But it's never fail. It happens every time you get in your own way.
Well, and I also have ADD and OCD. So I suffer from OCD. Was terrible when I started.
Why?
The OCD
Describe
was
that.
terrible because you used to think, and when I used to say this back in the late 70s, early 80s, people might have thought it was crazy. I thought I'd hit somebody in my car and didn't know that I'd hit them. So I go around the block. To see if I hit them again, and I call
just to be sure.
Yeah, and I did a bit about it. Like I called the police and say, are there tiny people and has anyone been hit? So the OCD was like really I don't know, but what was it? That wasn't what we were talking in relation.
Well, we were talking about music and how you feel more spiritual and younger. And,
right, but
checking yourself when you're on stage or in the moment and giving yourself the credit. Versus where
so
it
when I started stand up, I was seriously in OCD hell, and so I said, I am now holding the microphone with my right hand. I mean, I didn't say it out loud
in your head,
but in my head.
Yikes!
And I would say, I'm not going to be in the moment. There's no way I'm in the moment. There's no possible way. And so,
meanwhile, you're still talking.
I'm still talking.
Your mouth is moving. That's the weirdest place to be.
Yeah.
Or scariest place.
And then you've done stand up for how long?
I'm in my like 12th year.
All
Somewhere
right.
in
So,
there.
everybody's different. Like when I started stand up, I could be funny, but then I could also bomb horribly.
Sure, yeah.
And I was in a duo when I first started, so it was actually a good thing to do.
What is that like?
Oh, eventually it just kind of strangles you unless you're really. It's almost impossible to work unless it's like Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, and what happens if the other guy bombs and you're killing? Like,
Well, that was the thing, was that I started to riff off the crowd, and I would bail on the bits.
Yes.
So, but he's a therapist, and he was a therapist, and he's a very happy guy.
He didn't need it.
He did need it at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Were you playing music in the act?
never.
Have you
never
ever married the two?
Never, but I would now. But I couldn't when I went on the road because that was considered the hackiest thing in the world.
100%.
Right? But that, obviously, Fly of the Conchords, all these, there's nothing funny, or Randy Newman.
Right. Look at that guy.
He was one of my heroes, but I couldn't write that way. I couldn't write like.
Wait, isn't there a Newsom Does Newman album?
Joanna Newsom?
No. Randy. Nielsen Does Newman.
Harry Nilsson?
Does Newman.
Well, they were
that.
very, very
They were friends.
tight, and he produced Randy Newman's album.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Touch of Schmielsen in the Night or one of those romantic ones where he does Randy Newman songs. There's a
It's like
crossover
cover.
at some point.
They were buds though, for sure.
Right?
They're really cool.
I love the story about, aren't there stories about, or there was video of him and John Lennon. One's taking the elevator and one's running down the stairs to see who can get there fastest. Or something.
They also had the screaming competition.
In like hotels, right?
Well, they did it like on a microphone. So
Was this for Primal Therapy or just a
I
scream?
think it was just because they were just drunk. I think it was during like the last weekend for John Lennon when he was out here, and Harry screamed so much that there was blood on the microphone.
Whoa.
And he ruined his voice.
Well, on the first John Lennon album, solo album, he goes, that whole thing, "Mother, you had me, but I never had," and then he screams.
Yeah.
He had been going through with the Primal Scream guy. He had been in therapy with that guy, Janoff or something.
To be like a weird kind of guru, like in the 60s or 70s, like how you could really clean up. I mean, you could do that again today. I think people are.
My favorite Ab Fab joke. Did you ever watch Absolutely Fabulous? It's the British comedy.
So great.
So the main character Adina is always getting swindled by gurus, and the best joke is that she's so stupid she doesn't know every guru their name is an Indian dish. So it's always like Sheer Aloo Gorba or Gorma.
That's so funny.
All of them. She's like Saag Paneer is like is swindling her. She's so stupid. I don't want to misspeak on this, but Elton John tells a great story about doing a bunch of blow with Elton John in a hotel room.
Wait, Elton John. Wait, what?
Yes.
Oh,
Elton John
Lennon.
tells the story about doing it in John Lennon. Yeah, they're in a hotel room and they're up late doing a bunch of blow, and at 4 a.m. they just hear a knock, and Elton says it takes him like 15 minutes to get to the door, and he looks through the peephole, and it's Andy Warhol, and he looks at John Lennon and goes, "It's Andy Warhol," and John Lennon apparently goes, and they didn't answer the door.
That's so
Because
funny.
they were like, he'll have his camera, and they don't want to take pictures. They're high as shit. They don't want their photo taken right now.
So growing up in Queens, like, what part of Queens were you in?
Whitestone, Queens, which is near Flushing.
Okay.
Not far from Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
And right between the Throgs Neck Bridge and the Whitestone Bridge.
Right. So did your family, like parents, like work in the city or?
My dad was a gas and heating contractor. So, like, he had taken over plumbing. My grandfather was a plumber, and then my father kind of took over his business, and then got into these like decent size deals where he would like install these boilers and things and service it. So he worked in
boiler rooms and shit.
not in boiler rooms. Well, I did when I worked for my dad. I would rip out old boilers, and then I'm sure the asbestos is fine.
Yeah.
But what happened was that my dad was really funny, hilarious, the funniest guy I think I've met, and he was hilarious. And he didn't want to go into the business that he went into. He was really smart, but ultimately, because my grandfather got sick, he went into the business, and I think he ultimately liked it. But I would say things to my father, like, "You're so funny. You could have been a stand-up comic." He goes, "When could I have been a stand-up comic?" I got married at 21. My mother was 18.
Yep.
He had 3 kids by the time he was 30. He goes, "When was I going to hit the road.
Was like entertainment or comedy something you shared with your dad? Like, would you watch stuff? Like,
yes, we had the same sense of humor. We liked all the same. I mean,
like what were y'all watching?
well, a lot of the stuff that we watched was All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah.
And the old Dick Van Dyke Show.
I love the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
Did you watch his 98?
I haven't seen it.
I wept. I totally cried. Like, it's so good. And he's inspiring for lots of reasons.
He's got to be almost 99 now.
90, yeah.
He is 99.
He's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I love the old Dick Van Dyke Show.
So great.
My favorite thing is that Anne-Marie wore that goddamn bow till the bitter end. Like, she, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's Rosemary.
Oh, Rosemary. What did I say?
Anne-Marie.
Oh, no,
It's so
Rosemary.
easy, the Anne-Marie Rosemary.
But no, did you ever meet? I met Norman Lear for like 10 minutes once.
No, I would have liked.
And it blew my mind. Just even like,
And he
looking
was
at
nice?
him. Couldn't have been the nicest.
Right.
Like, even nicer. He was the nicest, most amazing person. And like, look you in the eye. And like, we talked just briefly about a few things. But it was wild. It was like, and the reason I brought that up is because when he was coming in, no one around me knew who he was. Damn. I was like, All in the Family, Maude, like, you know, just everything.
Where'd you encounter him?
At a fucking barbecue restaurant.
Oh.
Was this in Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
He was a guest.
Wait. Okay, now you're from Austin. You lived in Austin, oh, great. That's. I love that. I love that town.
You've done Moon Tower,
So
yeah.
Joe Rogan went there. I love that town.
I mean, my God, it has changed the atmosphere there. You've done Moon Tower, right?
Yeah. I just, in fact, hadn't performed since the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
I went there last
It was April.
April.
Yeah.
And I was going to make an album, which I'm not going to make out, but I will. The one thing I will plug that I'm very excited about that you can still download, anyone can download it. It's called Hence the Humor. And it's an album. You don't have to look at me. It's a beautiful part. And it's all audio. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of. I put it out during the pandemic. But I want to do another album now. But when I got back from Austin, I thought I would go right back into more clubs. But there's so much. I'm trying to do these things like catch up on my taxes.
Yeah, for real. Well, because here's the thing. Pandemic changed everything for everyone, but then the industry and even just getting into clubs and getting booked has changed completely as well. Like, you have to have followers, you have to post clips, all of that shit, and that's just how you get booked now.
Wow.
Let alone the financial interruption of pandemic and not even wanting to perform in public spaces because you don't want to get sick.
How long have you been opening for Margaret?
It's been a few years. Like, we started
Before the pandemic?
just before.
Wow.
Our last, it was March, whatever, 14, 15, when we were in Oklahoma City.
That's right when the
And that was it. We went home and it was like, I'll see you in May.
Yeah.
And then it was over. But it fully took my job away, interrupted everything. So, but for you, was it a thing to even want to perform in public spaces?
No. It's the reason why I ended up. I have a OCD, ADD, procrastination issues. So I had recorded this album in like at the right near where I recorded. What is the thing on Franklin?
Capitol Records. No.
UCB?
Yeah, UCB. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Capitol.
UCB like in 2014, and so I was just procrastinating because I wanted to put it out as an a physical album.
Right.
As soon as the pandemic started, it was like, no, I don't want to put out I don't want to be in a club ever again signing my diseased copy of something.
Yeah.
Was like Carson something you had designs on as a...
I wouldn't have had designs, but I would. He was still on when I started comedy.
Yeah.
But my first TV thing was like in '89, and when they had all these cable shows.
Yeah. What was your first? What was
The
that?
Comedy on the Road with John Biner.
Yeah.
What was that, like a cable or?
He was cable, yeah.
Yeah.
John Biner was a very funny comedian, but he was just like hosting these. He was hosting. Then there was like Evening at the Improv,
Yeah.
Caroline's Comedy Hour, Two Drink. I met Laura doing one of those 2 drink minimums or something.
Stand up.
Yeah, it was.
short
I
attention span
forgot
theater.
the A-list. That's what it was.
A-list, yeah.
What about being older and you said playing music now with your comedy? What's the difference?
Oh, well, what happened now is that I went through this, again, at age 60, through therapy, did not realize that the source of what I was, that I was placing my self-esteem outside of me, and you can't do that for anything. And so
Talk about that though.
Yeah.
so comedy came easy. It didn't come easy, but everybody in my family was pretty funny, right? So I got positive things for being funny early on. And so I actually, when it comes to comedy, I'm much more comfortable coming up with comedy. But then the thing would be like, but then the whole thing was like, how are you going to do it on stage and all of this other kind of thing.
Like harness it.
Yeah, and and facing so my insecurities didn't come from me thinking I couldn't come up with a funny joke. It'd be from the business, right?
Yeah.
But with music, it was more like I came up during a time period where you had Eric Clapton and all these fast guitar players, and I just had this thing about I must not be good enough, and that actually came from my relationship with my father, who's passed away, but I love him to death, and I love him, but he was extremely bright, and without knowing it, made me feel stupid.
Yeah.
And so,
how so? Just like
and it's very funny because I go back to this specific argument that we had. It was like I was 14, and we were walking, I forgot somewhere, and I was getting into like reincarnation, like reading about it, or hypnotism, and he just went to this whole thing, like because he was like an agnostic leaning towards atheism, and just very much like logic, and so he both through that discussion made me feel not smart enough to understand, and that there was no God, because he said there was no God. And then as I got older, I just felt like we live in a society where everyone says there's no God. And then you have all these horrible new atheists and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I realized that therapy has been great for me, because in therapy you realize, or I don't know, you know Troy Love?
No.
These things called shame shadows, or core, like you have these false core beliefs.
Okay.
And one of these things are shame shadows. And it's pretty cool. It's like you have all these personalities in your brain. The book is called Finding Peace by Troy Love. But you have the judge. So in other words, the judge, we started judging ourselves. My mother was extremely depressed. So as a kid, you had to figure out things yourself.
Yeah.
And you had to make judgments.
Yeah.
All kids have to do that. But once you're past 9 or 10, the judgmental part kills you, because it's just saying, you're never going to be anything. You as a kid, you're trying to figure out, if I do this with this person, I'll get candy, or you're learning how to social.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you take that from a social thing into now that's part of your personality, it's from a core belief that you're defective. You're like when I was 15 months old, because I went through this on therapy. Pre-verbal, my mother left me in the car, and I started screaming and screaming and screaming, and because my mother wasn't there really.
Right.
And
I have a couple, I have just a couple core moments I remember being like a young kid, and then it's sort of like a 6 or 7, 8-year-old, where you're in the car still, and my mom went inside or left. I'm just like, hey, wait, like I had trouble, I had too many books or something, and you're like, wait, and then they probably because she'd had a day or something, what I mean? She was something else was going on, but that was like out of nowhere,
and it was terrifying to you, even at that age.
Yes, out of nowhere, devastated, and you're like, "Where's that coming from?" But
when I was 10 years old, I've done all the stuff in therapy. So I
have you done hypnotherapy?
No, but I want to do hypnotherapy because I'd like to at some point.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to do hypnotherapy. I also want to do at some point MDMA therapy.
Oh yeah,
and
yes,
and
I would love
because
it.
I used to do acid all the time. I had bad trips, a lot of bad trips.
Interesting.
And I had a lot of good trips and stuff like that. But the idea that you have a guide and someone who's
helping,
and you're in and also you're in like a hospital set, because I'm like, am I dying?
Yeah, I want to stay hydrated. Like that's my thing. It's like I want to trip my balls off, but I don't want to like dehydrate myself.
So what were you asking me?
But you were going into, because you were saying when you were 10 years old, I talked about being.
Oh yes, my best friend. Okay, one of the things was I was always scared about getting beaten up, because I was always like I was 4'11" in high school.
Yeah.
And just terrible fear. It wasn't until 4 years into therapy when I learned that my whole thing was I never wanted to fight. I was scared of fighting, and my therapist said, "Yeah, that's good."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not a weakness.
But when I was a kid and some kid bullied me, and he like was showing off to his girlfriend. Look, he gets scared. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to meet you. And I started crying.
Yeah,
so I just thought I
sure.
wasn't a man.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
all that kind of thing.
exactly,
And
yes.
so when I was 10 years old, my friend, we were playing, and then I wandered off. And I just didn't see him or whatever, so I started crying. His father and him came back, and I lied that someone tried to beat me up because I was so embarrassed to say I just panicked because you weren't there.
Yes.
We went driving around the neighborhood to look for this person that we would
Beat you
never find, and so
That didn't exist.
right?
That's great.
Wow.
But that's
You stuck
abandoned.
you stuck to the bit.
Right,
Yeah.
and when
That's
I was
committing, yeah.
when I was 3 years old at Jones Beach, the worst beach in the just the horrible East Coast. God bless the East Coast, the worst,
Yes.
the worst thing. You go to this crowded thing. I got lost at Jones Beach,
Nightmare.
literally 10 feet from my parents.
Sure.
and so they had to hold me up like that. But here's the thing: my parents weren't looking to see where their kids were,
Yep.
and
probably weren't like, oh my God, there he is when they found
Well, they were a little no. They were like, oh, there he is.
you. Yeah.
So these are real things that, and the other shame shadows are like the politician. Okay, so the politician.
shame shadow. I want to talk
Yeah,
about
okay.
it. Yeah.
The judge just tells you you're wrong all the time. You just fucked. You're going to screw it up. Okay. The politician says you're wrong, but if you do it the right way, you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
Right. My favorite one is the royal, and this one really relates to me.
Okay.
It's not fair. It's not fair that the fucking Republicans are in office. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And along with having middle class white privilege, maybe things were fair a lot of times, more fair than in many parts of the country.
Right.
And so I have to make, and life is not fair.
Correct.
And so I've come out of all this stuff, and my basic spirituality thing now is like the opposite of fear is faith. It's like my belief in God or my belief in the system is that there's some kind of intelligence that goes beyond us that we can tap into. And faith is not saying a specific thing like, the chariot God.
Yeah.
But just you feel that there is this intelligence.
Yes.
You feel that you can tap into it.
Yeah.
And I realize as I get older and older that most of my fears are like not of dying, but of how I thought I'll be on my deathbed. Or
Yeah. I experimented with running during the pandemic, and it was mostly downhill from the observatory. And I've talked about this, but it was pandemic, right? So I was on 100 milligrams of weed regularly.
Right.
Which is now, in hindsight, a lot.
I can't get high. If I'm going to eat an edible, it has to be 25 milligrams.
Or
at least.
more. I need a lot. Yeah. So,
I do 5.
Yeah,
I used
that's
to.
not enough.
No.
Like my mushroom intake was always like, I'm a 3 gram minimum. That just didn't
Not
get
with
things
mushrooms,
going.
though. Mushrooms, I might go nuts.
Yeah.
See, those were always my favorite. But yeah,
I did 10 milligrams and watched After Hours, and I hadn't seen it in probably 20 years, and I was about to
What
lose
is After Hours?
the Martin Scorsese movie, Griffin Dunn. Remember, he's like, he's in New York, and he's like, he meets Rosanna Arquette.
Yes. Wait, that's
Yeah.
not the one with Madonna in it, is it?
No, it's like post Raging Bull.
Not about last night. You know that movie? Which is like, it's David Mamet.
Yes.
Who knew that he would become
oh
a
my God,
fucking
can you
monster?
believe? Listen, there's Cups, Kups was a round table talk show. I don't think it was in LA. I want to say it was in Chicago. Anyway, whatever. But it was on television, and his whole thing was he would mix people up. And there's an episode with, Otto Hemmings. He's a director.
Otto Preminger.
Preminger,
Yeah.
Lucille Ball. I can't remember the actress, and fucking young David Mamet.
Wow.
And it's like, it's hard to tell who has the most attitude out of all of those people. They're all, and she's drinking, and Otto's back.
I gotta
He's
see these
It's
things.
Yeah.
brilliant, but like you see young David Mamet, and he's talking about like fairy tales being his inspiration. And
What happened to him?
he has this
I
crazy,
think 9/11. I think that's where he.
a lot of people got.
Yeah, Dennis Miller.
like activated
Dennis Miller was 9/11, but something had to be existing with them before.
before.
For that to be triggered.
There's
The
a
Manchurian Candidate inside of their brain.
all that. Oh my God, I had a history teacher. She was so good. She was like the one who wanted to like shake everybody up. So she made us listen to Sgt. Pepper's start to finish. She brought it in on a record because she wanted us to understand the like
relevant.
She showed us the Manchurian Candidate. She went and found it on VHS.
But the original.
This was before the remake.
Okay, good. Right.
And she showed us that stuff too because she like wanted to be like that teacher.
Wow.
See, that's what I miss. Yeah, I miss about at least being in public school is you get that one teacher who's like, I'm going to show you something.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Before you could be like fired
in
or whatever.
high school, my history teacher was great.
In Queens?
Well, when I went to school in high school, the teachers were getting out of the Vietnam War.
Damn.
Okay, and now I'm asserting my age again.
Sure, yeah. Very
so I was the last year they had a draft card.
Yes.
So a lot of these teachers were avoiding the draft by, and let me say, I would have avoided the draft. I would have done anything to avoid the draft.
Yeah, agreed.
But they were very good teachers too. They were, and so a lot of them like would talk about how American imperialism.
Wow,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, but not till high school.
Is that what got you into politics?
I'm very left, except I'm not. It's like I'm very left, except I might say something like, "Well, capitalism sometimes is fun." You know what I mean? I'm not, I don't necessarily go socialist.
Yeah.
I kind of believe like we have a socialist country if we do it the right way.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to call myself a socialist.
Yeah.
Totally. It just bring up Obama and socialism really fast. In Texas being there, it's like you drive from my family's in Dallas Fort Worth, and I lived in Austin forever. So that drive, and you'd always know you were getting.
How long is that drive?
3 hours.
3 hours.
Oh, okay.
See,
Wow.
I can do it in 2:58. But the other thing is, and you knew Texas was changing. I mean, it's always been what it is, but it's getting more radical, more vocal. Was driving from Dallas to Austin. You know, you were almost at Waco when you were by the huge billboard that had a black and white just headshot of Obama going, and in jagged letters it said "socialist." And I was always driving like I never got a good picture of it, but. Yeah, they really like to throw those two guys together.
Well, I mean, you talk about Waco. It's like obviously not only was it handled poorly, all those things, but when people like Bill Maher start arguing that he made so many people Islamophobic, and Bill Maher used to argue, Christians really aren't that dangerous, really. Anymore.
The Inquisition.
And so Timothy McVeigh, all the white supremacy is more of a problem than anything that he would ever talk about.
Agreed. And it's definitely pervasive in Texas politics, the kind of like religious white supremacy, or I guess what are they call it? Like
Christian nationalism.
Even before. And here's the thing. I used to love, in Texas it's called the Republic of Texas, and it's the people who think that they can still secede, which I
do it.
Yeah, conceptually
do it, pussy.
Love it. Like exactly. I'm like, fucking pull the trigger, you wuss. But conceptually, I love that Texas spirit of being like, we're out of here, kind of a thing. And you'd see them protesting. It'd be like 6 cowboys on the side of the road with one big fucking flag. And now, essentially, that is Tea Party, Freedom Caucus, MAGA, Proud Boy.
Who's that evil Buddy Holly guy in Texas?
The old school Buddy Holly?
No, he looks like evil Buddy Holly. There's that Ken guy. Ken Paxton. Yeah, and then
the Attorney General.
This is the other guy who's like
Greg Abbott.
Who's the Lieutenant Governor? Dan Patrick.
Yes.
The Lieutenant
he
Governor.
Looks like evil Buddy Holly.
He does.
There's some of the evilest people.
Oh no, they are actually sinister. There's because I'm a huge Molly Ivins fan. I talked about her. Yeah. I talked about her every day.
She passed, right?
She did. Yeah. I went to her funeral.
Wow.
So there's a PBS special called the Evangelism or something of Bush or something, and it's all about how the Cheneys and the Bushes were with the Falwells and the Robertsons privately and publicly before, during the weird election stuff and all that shit, right? Yeah. And how he was for the born again and how that influenced the Iraq War, whatever. And one of the things in the PBS special is that in the weird Gore middle ground before the election had been decided in 2000, there was a private prayer ceremony at the Methodist Church on like Guadalupe and whatever 16th Street in fucking Austin, Texas, with the Cheneys, the Bushes, Falwell, Robertson, like sinister, right? Fucking,
but that's all just a facade for just fucking money and selling.
Oh
arms.
yeah. But Molly Ivins' funeral was at that church.
Whoa.
And I think the woman's name was Ellen Sweets, who was just there to read Molly Ivins' quotes. She wasn't there to eulogize. She was just going to read quotes. And the first one was, she goes, "The next time I say someone from Texas shouldn't be president, please pay attention." And the place, everyone was on their feet. It was electric. And it was like getting the bad voodoo out of that place. Like, redeem the room.
But yeah, during the Ann Richards days, and I think it's going to go blue.
It will.
Yeah. I really, in fact, it's probably blue now if people were allowed to vote.
Yes, thank you, because the gerrymandering down there is nuts. But a lot of young people are moving there, and I think that's what they're not really relying on.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you also have. It's crazy that like Hispanics for Trump like that.
Oh, that has always been.
But that's all. Yeah, but that's also
like gay Republicans.
Yeah,
gay Republicans always misfire.
Gay Republicans, the log cabin people.
Yeah.
I'll never understand it.
Where'd those guys go?
They're
in the woods.
never gay now.
Yeah.
Never Trumpers now. They're never gay.
Did you ever feel a need to be activist in like your stand up or any of your performance?
When I look back now, I think I've had some good material always, but never. I think I've always because my angle was also to try and tell people how bad Jay Leno was. So I would always my sample line, my favorite line that I've come up with, which I've never dropped, is who died and made Jim Belushi a big star.
That's so fucking sick.
And then you come back, you'll do a couple more jokes, and you'll come back and be like, John Belushi.
Yes, which happens more and more.
I love it. That's all time one of my favorites. And I'm supposed to. Laura told me to remind you, or she wanted me to remind. Since we're to the shit talking section, George Lopez.
Oh, George Lopez.
What? Oh, I must know.
Oh, well, he really. George Lopez did not like me. I worked with him at the Punchline in San Francisco, and he did not like me at all.
When was this?
In the 90s or something like that.
And when you say did not like you, how was that? How did
I think he could tell that I had an act. And and not like his act. And he's look. Let's not be mean, but he is a horrible comedian.
Yeah. It has exactly.
He's a terrible comedian.
And he's very rich. Yeah.
Did you hear that story about?
He walked out of the show.
No, the story is that Jay Leno went up to George Lopez in the club, thinking he was Paul Rodriguez, to try to clear up some other. He goes, "Oh my God! You said that I didn't recognize you, but I really didn't have my glass." And then he said, "No." He said he didn't have his glasses. Mm-hmm. That's how he explained the George Lopez thing. Mm-hmm. But he said he had a gripe with me. Something. He goes, "Do you think that I'm Paul Rodriguez?
Yeah.
I'm George Lopez."
Wow.
And then later, Jay Leno said that he had problem with glasses.
He couldn't
the wrong
see.
Glasses.
That's so good. Christ. I go to the Church of Joan Rivers. I love her. I know she's a little controversial, but my favorite thing is in her my favorite era of Joan Rivers is kind of the last 10 to 15 years. I think she was just giving it coming in hot. But there's interview. She had
full steam kind of head.
Full steam, and it was really magic. I saw her live 3 times, and one of them was 3 months before she passed, and so she was just electric. It was so good. But in that era, there's not on either of her TV shows an interview or a comedy set where she doesn't get a Jay Leno dig in. It's so fucking funny. It's so funny, and it's even when someone else brings it up, she still has a way of being like, "Oh, the not funny one." She just always gets it in there, which I fucking love.
So I got a question. So your Jay Leno's, your Howie Mandel's, do people forget that they were never funny? Because I've never understood. Howie Mandel now dresses like a toddler with money, which I think is just his way of anytime anybody wears wacky frames, I think it's their way of inserting the lack of a personality.
They're overcompensating.
Yeah,
but what's weird is that I am old enough to remember when he was on Saint Elsewhere. And he was a good actor on that show. And what was the other person you're talking about? Jay Leno. He was funny.
He was
funny.
Letterman
absolutely was funny.
Letterman lays it down for him. He's he was the one to beat.
Jokes McDonald's is hiring senior citizens now as part of their cradle to the grave minimum wage program. So but I'm not saying you're going to come. It's going to be a come to Jesus moment, but you're going to realize he's not the hat. He's not just that Jay Leno. But then it's so far from that time period.
Yeah.
Now,
correct.
I don't think you could enjoy him.
But then I think one of the goals, because comedy's the gateway for a lot of people. My dumbass is so romanticized the love of the art, and meanwhile people just jump in to get the train to something else. And I think a lot of people want to parlay it into whatever host you can be, because that's
yeah.
a great check. It's not a hard job.
But that's the thing about Jay Leno was why I couldn't stand him was because David Letterman deserved the show, and Jay Leno is not this. He doesn't even know about music, knows nothing. He doesn't like music, doesn't like sports. How can you host a talk show and know nothing?
I talk about this all the time, but the Darlene Love singing Baby Come Home on Letterman.
It's the greatest.
We may have talked about this, but some nerd who I'm super grateful for has looped together every single appearance she
every year
in order. And my dumbass has watched it and wept.
You mean back just each one
after the other, after the other, after the other. And she is so effervescent and like at every stage, right? Yeah. She never loses this magnetism, this light just like blasting off of her. And meanwhile, there's Letterman who's totally into it.
Yeah.
And by the last, and the fucking Paul, everybody, and it's just like everyone's crying, I'm crying. It's just like, it's beautiful. I loved the Letterman show.
And he gave people chances. I mean, like, yeah, he would have on good bands and...
Him having heart surgery and letting Janine Garofalo host for a week for My Teenage Heart was huge. Yeah. Then my heart exploded for a week. I couldn't believe it.
I also have to bring up, we had the Sklar Brothers on here, and they were talking about how you got them to quit law school.
Yeah, well, when I met them at the something in the Funny Bone in St. Louis, and then we kind of bonded, and then they brought me... Oh, I don't remember how it happened. They brought me to their college and they opened for me. And I just basically said, if you want to do it, you should do it, because you'll always. My whole thing to them, I'm saying like I don't buy. I don't accept the role that I. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't accept the role like.
Sure.
I made the Sklar Brothers, right? Yeah. But the point was my general argument always was. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't control so many of the things. Just work on being funny for your own to be funny. Right. And so I think that was good for them because they were really thinking they had to go the law route. And so me saying you got to go with your heart.
Where did you find that wisdom at that point in your life? Where were you coming from? Or have you been working with that since then?
Well, I think that the thing about, and I'm using air quotes. Oh my God!
I'm so sorry. Oh my God. I know. No, I'm so sorry.
Workman's comp. I forgot what I was going to say.
The Sklar Brothers. Where were you coming from?
Finding peace and saying follow your heart.
Yeah. How did you come to that?
Well, for me, it was that I couldn't. My style was always self-deprecating, right? So I couldn't stop being that way. In fact, when things go south, when I look back at some shows, or it's like I'm always underestimating how much the crowd is there or not there. So the first time I was on my own without my partner, and I said a joke and nothing happened. I basically, well, that didn't work out. Right? And then that became my style. But early on, like I would play this club called Rascals in West Orange, New Jersey, and one of the managers says, "Hey, look, when the joke doesn't work, don't comment on it." I said, well, that's kind of my whole act. He goes, well, it doesn't go over here.
But I've seen you do it and like lose a crowd. And I think that's like where you really come into your own and then you pull them back in.
Where you shine.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't pull them back in. And sometimes the worst is when you're not enjoying.
Yeah.
When you're not enjoying it.
Yes.
But that's been a very, very long time.
Have you ever, my least favorite thing is when you have a set and maybe it's not going well or it just is quite painfully obvious that it hasn't gone well and someone comes after you after the show and goes, did you have fun? I'm like, oh no, I was so translating how miserable I was.
No, I would get this. I liked it.
Yeah,
I got that all the time. I liked it.
You were like, so nobody did? What are you trying to tell me? I've had twice, and it was like a weird resort show, right? It was like a cruise gig kind of a thing. And gay men are a hard audience for a gay performer. We're just cannibals, and also we've told every joke.
Gay people are hard to perform for?
For me, I find a room full of mostly white gay men it's the hardest room for me to make laugh. And I was just eating shit for 45 contractual minutes.
Oh my God.
Just eating total shit the whole time. And I'm not reading the room either. Like, why stick with the script, loosen up and move around, do something different, right? But just but when you're 20 minutes in and it sucks and you're like, wow, I have to do this again. Yeah. And it's gonna suck still. Anyway. you just want to leave. And that was one time where someone was like, well, did you have fun? And I was like,
Oh,
wow,
God, that's
you
so
could see
terrible.
me hating it. That's the worst headspace to
But
be
it's
in.
but the thing is, and the truth is, that's good sign.
What,
It's the
that
people who like, you know, like like a lot of comics go, you just keep going until you get them on your side. Don't, you know, it's like this idea, the old fashioned show business that you don't pay attention to anything.
Well,
There's
yeah.
certain truth to that in
Yes.
a way of like I say, my self-deprecating can go crazy, but I never understood the idea where you're pretending things went well.
Yeah, no. There's a really good episode, or Roseanne interviews Phyllis Diller, and Phyllis Diller's just giving away all of her secrets, which is just brilliant. And one of them is like how to say hello to an audience. And this is the advice some other comic gave her, but she said it's like tell 5 hot jokes and keep moving. And it's just like it's like, and it works if you really lay it up like that. There's
What
some
was
truth to it.
What was Roseanne?
This is
interviewing her?
pre.
Nazi Roseanne?
Nuts, yeah, that. It was somewhere in the early 2000s when she had her own studio and was kind of self-producing, either out of here or Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Pre Roseanne's Nuts TV show, post sitcom.
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant interview with fucking Phyllis Diller, who lays it down and she's retired at that point, I think, but still just banging.
The movie about her is pretty good.
Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
There's a movie?
documentary. Yeah.
Out right now.
Yes. It was a few years ago, but you can still get it.
Oh, I love her. I am obsessed with her 77 HBO special because it's all just my mother-in-law and then 50 tags. And it's like, how is she? Where is she? How is she? And then she gets through my husband, Fang.
Fang.
And then there's 100 things about Fang. And it's like, how does she
Remember
read
it.
it, stack it, anything? And then at the end of it, she plays Bach.
On what?
Yeah.
The grand piano that's parked right behind her. She was like a classical pianist.
I did not know. I did not know that.
She talks about the kind of marriage of like comedy and music too, which I love. Who you mentioned like Bob Dylan and you mentioned Eric Clapton. Do you?
I don't like Eric Clapton.
Me
by the way.
neither.
I don't like the racist Eric Clapton.
Right.
But
See,
I'm just saying
people
that
change.
people would, I like Cream when they came in.
Cream
Yeah.
is so good.
Yeah.
Who were your musical heroes? But do you get new musical heroes in your life?
Yeah, I mean, when I, the Beatles, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Love Deja
Neil Young,
Vu.
Neil Young's After the Gold Rush.
Yeah.
But then I really got into REM big time.
Yes!
I couldn't stop listening to them.
Do you like
Yeah.
Pylon?
And Talking Head, and I was obsessed with Talking Head.
Do you like
Yeah.
Pylon?
Which one's Pylon?
Pylon was another band from Athens.
Oh, I don't know them.
So they're like the ones that like, the B-52s and REM.
and the B-52s
yeah.
I love.
And they're like, no, Pylon is the band that should have made it.
Wow.
They're fucking like that, like post-punk kind of post-new wavy, like, perfect, that late 70s, early 80s, good bass, like just perfect time for music. Pylon is fucking
I gotta
incredible.
check it out. And Fred Schneider, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They do all 16 dances.
Yeah.
They do the chug-a-lug.
Yeah. and to be, I mean, Athens is kind of like a more like liberal part of Georgia, but like for those bands that come out of Georgia is fucking
Epic.
rad. I love it.
There's this B-52 song called Ain't It a Shame. I talked about it with Lori Kilmartin. Do you know that song? It's a slower song where the last lines are, I loved your Chevy Duster. I loved your brand new trailer. I loved your color TV, but you loved your color TV more than me.
Ah, that's
Or
great.
you looked at that color TV more than me. But do you get new? This is my hang up because I just don't. Do you find new musical heroes or?
Oh, I think that I do, but it's like it's not like clockwork. I mean, it's not like I used to be
Inspired.
more. But who's the guy who I really like him? He's paralyzed. He got paralyzed. Mallon, Jesse Mallon.
No, I don't know.
Jesse Mallon. I really love him, and Lucinda Williams. I love.
Oh my God!
So I'm
yes.
obsessed with like Lucinda Williams.
Yeah.
Steve Earle. I got into
How's
later.
yeah.
John Prine is one of my like.
Oh.
It was so sad. Do you know that? Please
John
don't.
Hyatt. I don't know if you're John Hyatt.
No, I don't know. Please don't. Do you know? Was it John Fahey, voice of the turtle? Oh my God! Okay, great. I'm gonna send it to you. Voice of the turtle, Fahey, however you would pronounce
Fahey?
that. Fahey, John Fahey, voice of the turtle. Oh my God, you're gonna love it. Damn. Were you ever into? Okay, I don't know if I can say this or not. He's still alive, but allegedly, my uncle's roommate at Betty Ford was Leo Kottke. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's so funny. And I don't know his music that much. I know
Ice Water is the album.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
It's good.
Yeah, I love, that's the one that, there's like a bowler hat on it or something like that.
And you're a deadhead.
Yeah, and I really was a deadhead. I mean, and I was just talking.
Did you follow them?
No, I never did because I got into them in the late mid 70s, and I never was that. But I was just when I'm talking about drugs, which I really do feel horrible for people growing up because you could if there was like the fentanyl problems, because I would get to a Dead concert, and I swear to God, he'd go. Take 3, they're weak. Right? So he gave me 3. You didn't even know what they were, but 2 wouldn't be enough. Right? In this climate, I would have been dead at 18.
I say that about LA. If I moved to LA in my 20s, I would for sure be dead. Of what? I don't know, but anything. I would never.
Well, I was around during the cocaine years, and luckily I didn't have enough. The movie Boogie Nights, what's the one where he's. Is it with the Molina with the that perfectly captures the cocaine years.
So you were like coming up. Would you say you came up in the 80s?
I came up in the 80s.
So describe, and you were in LA then.
Right. So I was on the road from 1987 to 1992.
Straight.
And then I came back in, and then there was the kind of the alternative scene. So that was like Janine and David Cross and the Uncabaret and all of these.
I love Uncab.
Yeah, and Janine. Who else? I mean, a whole bunch. Kathy Griffin. The whole group.
I just met Kathy Griffin.
Margaret, obviously.
Yeah.
Laura Keitlinger.
How come I didn't say Laura Keitlinger? Well, because but Laura Keitlinger was. And the thing is, really, it was a reaction to the garbage comedy that the boom had just kind of made this comedy into the most hackiest thing.
I didn't live through that moment, but I feel like there is something like that happening now in comedy, where there's sort of this white guy, sort of white wing, everyone's a comedian, all you need are views, and boom, you're booked kind of a thing.
I hope not.
I can't tell.
Don't you feel like it's kind of like a virus that happens like every 20 years? Because like 20 years prior to this, it was, the fucking redneck shit. And 20 years prior to that, it was, fucking those dumb dicks.
It was
like Joe Piscopo is nowhere to be found.
My favorite thing about the early Simpsons, and there's a lot of favorite things about the early Simpsons, is first of all, there's tons of Henry Kissinger jokes, which I love. But they make so many Joe Piscopo digs.
Yeah.
And like really do. In like seasons 1 through 5, there's lots of digs at him. Which
I remember that they're watching they do go after Johnny Carson. Because they're watching him, and he does the jokes, and they go, well, at least we got to stay up late.
Yeah. I felt bad because I did say it out loud, but we're at the National Comedy Museum, which does great work. They really do. Have you ever been in Jamestown?
No.
It's really cool. It's actually a really cool thing. And they had a Johnny Carson exhibit they were unveiling. I was like, well, where's the part where he beats the shit out of all of his wives? Nobody liked that.
And as Laura likes to say, because she's from Jamestown as well, it's also where Lucille Ball's from. She's like, she goes, where's the part where they ran Lucille Ball out of town because she was an unwed mother?
Yeah.
And they're cashing in our corpse.
Yeah, it's true. I'm fascinated by it.
Did you listen to the series called The Plot Thickens?
Yeah,
I love him. I love that.
I have a sick. They do great work. That show.
Mankiewicz.
Jim Mankiewicz.
Ben Mankiewicz.
Ben Mankiewicz.
Yeah.
I'm so old. I can't. I do what my dad does, and I malaprop people's names. But I have a weird oral ASMR thing for like Lucille Ball, the Lucille Ball of the 1980s
cigarettes
voice. Somewhere in the 70s, 80s, I'm obsessed with just the.
Can you do it?
No, I mean, it's just this, but it's like the sonic quality of it. She gave Tyler Negron, speaking of Uncab, was like a PA and got to PA her. She did whatever college courses at Sherwood Oaks College in Hollywood, and someone bootlegged it. And somewhere on YouTube, there's 3 hours of like lo-fi where she's giving advice to all these college kids. It's just Q&A.
Oh, wow.
And it's you can understand what she's saying, but that's not the point. I listen to it just for the it's like I listened to a podcast with Courtney Love, and I had headphones on. It was in the same
genre,
The
same
like
timbre.
era of fixation. Yeah. Did you know Taylor Negron? Speaking of him,
Yes,
Negron.
I love Taylor.
He was. I never
loved him.
Yeah.
And
where did you meet him?
I met him on Cabaret.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was only he was doing that room like every Sunday. So it was very
Were there people that you met in your career that like you wanted, like heroes that you were excited to meet or that you couldn't believe? Like Norman Lear was nuts for me.
Right.
Like
right.
were there people like that you came across like I can't believe my life I get to see these people?
Well, I mean, I guess Letterman was the one that was like so amazing that but even like people like Martin Short. I love Martin Short. I got to meet him once at the airport.
Oh wow.
Going into a comedy thing, and I'm so nervous.
He knew you, right?
He did know me. Yes. He did. In fact,
and what was that like?
And
like Martin Short knows you.
He did know me, and also when he had his own talk show at some point,
I remember
he
that.
had comics. He go, "I'm tired tonight. I don't want to do the monologue."
Yeah.
So then he had me come up and do the jokes in the
Oh,
monologue.
wow.
Yeah. So, but when I saw him at the thing, I was like so nervous, and I was like, I said, "Martin, I'm doing you to you."
That's really good.
Yeah, he was great with Jiminy Glick when he hosted. He's back.
Yes.
No, when he hosted Kimmel.
But yeah, just like because I didn't even know it was even happening. And then just like I just saw like him with Bill Maher, and I was like, wait, what? And I was like, you're in Bill Maher's shitty basement or whatever, and he fucking rips on him, and Bill Maher's like, he goes, no, it's like can you not take a joke?
Yeah,
I can't take a joke.
No, he
Fuck
really
him.
can't.
Fuck him.
Have you seen the person that he is impersonating as the real
Yeah,
interviewer?
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
his name?
I can't remember.
He's so peculiar.
That shit blew my mind.
And when you see the real guy, it makes Martin Short so much funnier as Jimmy Glick because he's nailing it.
Yeah.
Like the guy's just weird cadence, but then the just total tangent shift of like it's like Larry King on fucking acid.
Yeah. He's the greatest.
Right.
yeah.
So what is are you going on the road soon? Are you?
So what I'm doing now is just I want to make another album. Is the
Yeah.
thing that I want to do. But I have a podcast. It's, that I've been doing for many years. It's called Thought Spiral with my friend Josh Weinstein, and it's called we advertise as Two Jews, 2 microphones, 2 hours. That's basically it.
And what do y'all?
So there's no.
tackle?
We just go on. We basically go on wherever it's going to go.
I love it.
And sometimes it's great. And we're actually in a thing now where we're in a good groove. But it's you know how it is.
Well, were you ever in a band? I know you worked in like a duo, but like playing music. Were you ever in a band?
Yeah. So like this leads into this story about how I was in bands, but I was in top 40 bands way after college.
Okay.
And with the worst names. So one of the names was The Visitors. We're not the home team, but the worst name I ever came up with for a band, we called ourselves. It's like in the 1982, so Transfusion. We were going beyond fusion, but we couldn't even play fusion, and everybody thought we were a heavy metal band, right? So this is a true story. I'm at a club, and we're bombing, so I'm trying to make jokes in between. The club owner passed me up a little note, said, "Cut the chatter."
Oh my god.
Damn.
I was in a band. I was in a few, but I am a bad a horrible bassist. And we had a show in Dayton. And then Columbus, this was in Columbus. And we were playing with our friends' band. They were these brothers and they were better than we were. Really talented musicians, and when I say nobody was there, it was the first band was the audience, and then you traded places, and then the first band the performance was now the audience. So that was the only people in the room were all of us, no extras. And it's one of those like, for some reason, it takes 5 minutes to like tune your guitar. It's like because no one's professional.
Yeah.
And it's just us. It's like if we were in a band, and one of the brothers turns to the other off mic and goes, "Banter." And meant it. Was like, you're killing the show. Like,
He wasn't asking for banter. He was saying, "Cut the banter."
No, he wanted him to talk.
Yeah.
He's like,
To
"I'm
fill
busy
it in.
tuning.
Yeah.
Say something." And they had a fight in front of us. Like, we're like, who is?
That's so great.
It was like the energy has not been disrupted. It's just me and Rachel. Like, we're just hanging out.
Well, back in those days when I was a Deadhead and I loved the Dead, the Dead would take hours to tune.
Yeah.
But we didn't have tuners then.
Oh my god.
I was not a great tuner before tuners.
Yeah.
Because you go to the fifth fret, bee-ball, bee-ball.
Yep.
So I don't know how people lived before there were tuners.
How many Dead shows did you see?
I didn't see that many, maybe 5 or 6. I was not like somebody.
But you loved it.
I don't think I ever would have gone into the a part where I was on the road with them, but because I just wouldn't have. I don't think I would have cottoned to that kind of lifestyle. Cotton.
Yeah.
Am I an old?
It's a thing.
prospector?
But then you become a comedian that's touring from 87 to 91.
Right, and I actually liked a lot. It's got to be different than being in bands type of touring, but it was
every time I see someone moving drum equipment, I'm I made the right decision. Because I have a Fender fucking Rhodes. Do you know how heavy those are? And you have to get one stranger drunk to help you put it back in the car at the end of the show. It's always a negotiation.
Yeah. I think we're ready to wrap. Thank you so much. It's been going so long. I'm so sorry.
No, we're good.
Fun.
We're good. No,
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite comedians.
This was fun.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I love
coming
you guys.
in. No,
This
we
is
love
it.
you, Andy.
Thank
This
you.
is
This is a trio.
No, this was great.
We don't
I know.
we don't need Keitlinger.
No, I love when Garrett sits in.
Yeah.
It's really fun. But thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
It's
Thank
really
you.
great
Really
talking
cool.
to you. Andy Kindler, everybody.
Keep it going for Andy Kindler. He's still in the room.
What's your social media?
Oh, yeah.
Where can we find
I
you?
am
People find
Andy.
you.
I am at Andy Kindler on Twitter, which is horrible now. But I'm Andy Kindler Superstar on Instagram.
Ooh, okay.
And one time, and something on Blue Sky. But on Instagram, I got this someone sent me a thing thinking I really was saying that I'm a super, not knowing it was from Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
They go, "You're not a superstar.
They
you suck."
See,
Yeah.
the trolls, man. It was
it was really good troll. I
But
was
the pettiness of it, when there's that kind of insane pettiness, I almost respect.
No,
it.
it's out
pretty
there.
incredible.
It goes both ways because one time at one point I had very long hair and I didn't really have a beard and it was on Grindr, and so in Grindr life you have to establish your role. Are you a top? Are you a bottom? Are you an otter? Whatever the fuck. And you just put it in your
labels,
profile, right? You don't have to back and forth with it. It's listed. So I listed myself as a top and sent my photo of me with my long hair, and the guy shot it back and said, "I didn't know Anne Hathaway was a top."
nice.
That's
a compliment.
I was like, "That's the funniest thing anyone has ever
Yeah.
said." I mean, blocked. We're not gonna fuck, but it was such a good read. I was like, good troll. You know what I mean? It was I could not reward that. That was so funny.
That's incredible.
But nailed it. I hate when the trolls are right.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing about technology. I say that people have always sucked, but now with the help of technology, we can suck at 5G.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming.
This is a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you,
I love
Andy.
that doggy
Here.
too.